You're listening to Strange by Nature, your guide to the strange, weird, unbelievable, and improbable wonders of the natural world.
Hello everyone, thanks for being here today. I am Kirk Mona and I am joined today by Rachel Ginza and Victoria Thompson. We are all professional naturalists who together have scoured the world for weird and wonderful wonders just to please your mammalian brain's desire for novelty. Isn't that nice? Let's do this.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another show. So happy you're here. I gotta tell you, there is a spring in my step right now because spring is in full effect now here in Minnesota.
It's been the best.
Woo!
It's
so nice.
Oh, it's been gorgeous. Except for all the smoke, Canada, stop with the smoke.
Yeah, please stop.
It's hard to breathe outside a few of those days, but that aside, trees are fully leafed out now. We've had thunderstorms rolling through. Birds are migrating back, or a lot of them are almost finished migrating back. It's really one of my favorite times of the year. This episode is coming out on May 31st. So that means, at least according to my book, summer starts tomorrow. Pretty exciting.
No.
Happy summer.
Yay.
Pretty amazing. June is going to be great. It's going to be great, you guys. We were talking at work just last week about how much rain we've gotten and how the lakes are starting to come back to closer to full after last year's drought. And a horrible, horrible realization dawned on me.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, having the lakes full is great, and having plenty of water in the soil is great. But the wet spring is a harbinger of something nefarious to come.
Mosquitoes.
At least, well, not just
Black
that.
flies.
In the park where I work, the wet spring
Deer flies.
means wet soil. Yeah, and
All
wet
the
soil
deer
means
flies.
It comes July. We are going to be absolutely destroyed by deer flies.
It's so
You
bad
both
where
got-
you
you
work,
both-
Kirk.
You've both
it
worked.
is
You've both worked in the same park I have. July is
so bad.
a special hell.
You
I
go
mean,
out
it's,
Without your head covered,
oh.
you're toast.
Yep.
Yeah,
Hey,
you
Kirk,
have to wear a hat at all times.
This is when you break out the zebra suit.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And if you don't know what we're talking about, you clearly have not binged all the previous episodes because we talked about the potential power of wearing a zebra striped suit in the summer. So look, I hate deer flies so much.
You won a
sneak
haiku
up on you.
contest because of deer flies.
I did. I won the staff haiku contest with a haiku about deer flies. They sneak up on you. They bite a good sized chunk of skin out of you and fly away. In a wet year, they can make going in the woods miserable for about a month. And that month is the core of summer camp season, where I'm basically in the woods all day long with children who don't necessarily always dress the way they should to protect themselves from deer flies. So look, it can be quite a circus.
Yeah.
And as much as deer flies suck, and as much as I loathe them, and as much as it hurts when they bite, it could be worse.
Uh-oh.
No.
Much worse.
Oh no.
You see, there's another fly, one I don't really have to deal with, and it's the black fly.
Oh yeah.
And black flies are also annoying, and they feed on human flesh. They like to breed in fast-moving water, so they're found near rivers. And some species of black flies are found in mostly southerly portions of like the U.S., but they prefer the tropics and like subtropical areas.
Mm-hmm.
And the bite of the black fly isn't the worst thing about them. It's a silent parasite
Oh.
lurking in their saliva that has plagued people for countless generations.
Oh no.
Oh dear.
So
Another
let's get
parasite
two things.
episode.
Yeah, let's get two things out of the way. First of all, yes, I am talking about another human parasite on the show. I'm sorry. The second thing I want to get clear is I want to get this pronunciation out of the way. This parasite is also a nematode worm, just like the guinea worm I talked about last month.
God.
This one is called Anchocera volvulus. I think the species epithet too, like there are multiple ways to pronounce it, but we're gonna go with volvulus, volvulus, blah blah, something like that. It's Volvulus. So make of that what you will. I'm not going to say it again for the whole episode, so I just want to get that out of the way. Now, luckily, This particular nematode does not grow to an enormous size and then painfully burrow out of your foot like the last one I talked about, but it
Thank
is
you
pretty
for
wild.
that.
So, yeah, I'm going to go through the life cycle. So first off, the worm is living in a human host, is a little microfilaria. And the black flies bite a human, and the microfilaria are living in the skin of the human, and it actually infects the fly. So humans are infecting the fly.
Oh.
In the fly,
Oh, no.
they progress through 3 different larval stages inside the fly, like in different parts of the fly, and eventually end up in the saliva of the fly. This takes about a week. And when the fly bites another human, the larvae enter the human and continue to mature, but now in the human's body.
Okay.
And this life cycle has to go back and forth between these 2 different hosts. They molt through 2 more larval stages in the humans before becoming adults, which takes about 12 months. So within about a year, they become an adult. Now you may be thinking,
Delayed release.
doesn't
here.
doesn't our body have ways to protect us against things infecting us like that? And
There's a whole white blood cell
wouldn't this
system,
be a job?
right?
Yeah, wouldn't this be a job for our immune system? Well, yes. But these clever little larvae form a nodule around themselves
Yeah, they do.
as they're
Oh.
developing that essentially cuts them off from the immune system while they develop into adults, which
But
is super cool and
no,
amazing that they
it's
can
really
do that.
cool. I hate it.
Now, I know the question you're probably wondering is, how big do they get?
That's one of the
Right.
questions I'm thinking of.
I have
Uh-huh.
multiple
Well,
questions.
I
Most
bet you
of my
do.
thoughts are why.
How do they get out?
Yeah, well, we're getting there. The
what are they
males
called?
can roam around the body looking for females. They're out cruising the coast, and they are relatively small. They're 23 millimeters, which is less than an inch. Not something I want roaming around inside my body,
that's
but not.
still 2 centimeters.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something you want, right?
No.
The females, though, oh
No.
boy, they hang out in the nodules and wait for the males, and they are larger. And I'm sorry I have to say this, but they're up to 700 millimeters long. So that's a little over 2 feet,
Yeah.
or 2/5 of a Rachel in the standard measure.
What?
Yeah.
You said
Now,
2 feet?
2/5
2 feet.
of a Rachel.
2 feet.
2/5
And it's 2/5 of a Rachel.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Because
No.
a foot is about
No.
30
Yeah.
centimeters, and this is 70 centimeters. So, it's,
Absolutely not.
yeah.
No.
So here's the thing. These don't go to your brain. Well, yeah. So here's the deal. Another part that I wish I
I
didn't.
didn't like the. Wait.
Oh, no.
Ooh,
I had to think about that for a minute.
I don't like that.
Another part that I wish I didn't know is that once they are mature, the male and female nematodes find each other and they mate in your subcutaneous tissue. And after mating, they can produce
No.
700
No.
to 1,500 new microfilaria
Oh.
Why?
per day.
Oh, no.
Per day.
That got worse, Kirk.
Oh, no.
It sure did. I was waiting for you to get over your shock of the initial numbers. So these microfilaria then migrate to the skin, where they can be eaten by more black flies. They don't like come out and like you do like a crazy dance, or don't like rip them out of your skin like the last one I talked about. They just like hang out right at the surface of the skin at the time of day when black flies are most likely to be out. And then when you get bitten by a black fly, those thousands of microfilaria in your body can end up in some of those black flies, and the whole thing, rinse and repeat. So having these things in your body sounds unpleasant, but like what happens, right? Like what can they do? As you can imagine, being in your skin,
And
they
being
can cause
2.5
all kinds of skin.
feet.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think though they're probably kind of all like rolled up into the
Rolled up.
nodules, like they're
Yeah.
not. Yeah, so it's not like there's these big 2-foot long things swimming around inside your body.
Ugh.
But you can imagine having all these microfilaria then like it's sort of infesting your skin is going to cause all kinds of skin conditions, including leopard skin, elephant skin, and lizard skin
Yuck.
are some of the three names of the sort of, and you can kind of guess what those look like based on, your skin starts to look like spotted like leopards, or sort of wrinkly like elephant skin and tough, or really scaly like lizard skin.
Really
And there's some other
dry.
ones too that don't have as colorful names, but a lot of skin problems are a big issue with this. But skin problems aren't, not great, but they're not the real danger to humans. And the real danger is that if the nematodes reach your eyes.
Oh God.
Oh no.
So having them in your eyes can apparently eventually lead to your, not what I would suspect, but your corneas actually cloud over, which is sort of that outer part of your eye. So I think it's actually some sort of reaction your body has to them being in your eye, rather than like the fact that they're actually in your eye, which is disgusting.
Yeah.
Not a fan of that.
Yeah, since these flies breed in fast-moving rivers, this has led to the condition being called river blindness. So have you ever heard of river blindness?
Yes.
That's caused by these nematodes that bite people in these areas. So
That's
pretty horrible.
one of the things Jimmy
Now-
Carter was working on, right?
Probably.
Yeah, I think so. The good news is that even though this is still a serious condition, there is progress being made in eradicating it. It's thought that humans are the only non-fly hosts for the disease. So if we could stop it in humans, we can break the cycle and we could really wipe it out.
Yeah.
That'd be
The
great.
disease originated in
Yeah.
Africa. Yeah, it would be really great. The disease originated in Africa, but was spread to South and Central America by the slave trade, which is horrible.
Awful.
There were, at one point, 13 locations in South and Central America where it was known to occur, and it seems to have been wiped out in 11 of those 13, which is
That's
pretty
awesome.
cool. It was eliminated in Colombia in 2013, Ecuador in 2014, Mexico in 2015, and Guatemala, in 2016. There's only one remote place along the border of Brazil and Venezuela where it's thought to still occur. So at least in South America.
Yeah.
And Central America. So similarly, it is systematically being wiped out in regions of Africa as well as part of public health initiatives. There's still a long way to go, mostly I think because it's a much bigger area where you're trying to wipe it out. The most recent data I could find was from the World Health Organization, which indicated that in 2017, there were 21 million people in the world infected with the parasite.
Wow.
So that is a huge number, 21 million people. I don't know what's happened since 2017 because I couldn't find that data, but it clearly has not been wiped out. There's still
Right.
work to be done. I think it's strange because we tell these stories about these parasites infecting animal hosts on the show a lot, like in weird things that are happening, turn them into zombies and things like that. And I think it's sometimes easy to think that humans aren't part of that process, but we get parasites too, right? We are
Yeah.
animals. We are not immune from parasites. And what's fascinating, though, is that we're highly intelligent animals, and we have the potential to permanently get rid of a specific parasite if we kind of so choose and really work on it. And so could potentially just become like river blindness could become sort of an interesting note in the history books of like, wow, this is a thing that used to happen to humans in the old days. It could be something that we just dealt with in the past. There's currently 1.2 million humans on Earth with river blindness. So that's different than
wow.
the 21 million people who are in, not everybody gets the progressive to having river blindness, but there's currently 1.2 million humans on Earth with river blindness who have lost their sight to the disease. So here's hoping we can eliminate it and make it part of the past sooner than later, because it's really something that is pretty tough to deal with. So I just want to tell you about that. I guess make me feel better somewhat that I'm only dealing with deer flies this summer. My sources were the World Health Organization, the Pan American Health Organization, the Centers for Disease Control, and some general information from Wikipedia.
Thanks, Kirk.
Cool.
You're welcome. Well, I hope you all feel more educated now. And yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes. We'll take a break. Rachel, do you have a parasite for us?
No.
Oh, Lovely. We'll hear from
That'll be a
Rachel.
relief.
Strange by Nature podcast is brought to you by listeners like you who have joined the Society of Strange, our membership group on over at patreon.com/strangebynature. Society of Strange members can join at one of 3 different membership levels and help support the show and also get some fun stuff like water bottle stickers or access to super secret content. So a thank you to those who have joined already to help make this podcast possible. If you haven't joined yet, we'll see you soon over at the Society of Strange at patreon.com/strangebynature. See you soon.
All right, welcome back, everyone. As was mentioned before we went to break, I do not have a parasite for us.
Oh, so glad.
Is it something from Australia?
No.
Is it from the ocean?
Close. No.
New Zealand.
No. All right.
Oh,
So-
Indonesia. We're not going to guess them
Yeah,
all.
just tell us.
Okay, it is from Indonesia, actually.
Oh,
Hey.
Okay.
All right.
great.
Okay. So in 2019, there were a few people, a curatorial assistant at the American Museum of Natural History, a man named Eli Wyman learned about this very interesting creature. Well, I think it's very interesting. That hadn't been seen since 1981.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
one of these deals,
Right.
huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in 2019, Weinman teamed up with Clay Bolt, who was a natural history photographer, and 2 other researchers. And they decided that they wanted to see if they could find this creature in the last known place that it had been found in 1981.
Yeah.
Which
It's
is
just still sitting right there, right?
or hopefully somewhere, right?
the same general area, right? Yeah.
Right. So Indonesia is hundreds of islands. This one is in some of the islands in North Maluku. I'm probably saying that wrong. And they spent quite a while looking for this. So this animal hides or makes its home in termite nests.
Oh,
So what this animal does, or to find it, they were looking for the most likely termite nests. What I'm talking about today is actually the what is it? It is actually a type of resin bee. Okay, I'll give you that much.
A
resin
bee.
bee.
Okay.
Okay.
They spent 5 days looking around in this fragmented forest, looking for termite nests, looking and trying to see if they could maybe find this little resin bee. I say little.
Ooh, okay.
So
what is a resin bee?
I'll get to it.
Okay.
So they were looking around, and at the end of the 5th day, they were going back to the car, and they found a termite mound. And they took a closer look, and they realized that there was actually an entrance hole within the termite nest, and they were able to find a singular. They got super excited. They found a singular
I bet.
female of this bee.
Ta-da!
First one in 38 years.
While they were going back to the vehicle, they'd kind of done for the day and weren't going to find it. And then boom, there it was.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Just like love. It's when you're not looking for love that it comes and finds you.
Just hit you like a
Resin
truck.
bees.
Oh.
Like a resin bee in a termite mound.
Okay.
Famous metaphor for love.
Very famous. Now, why do we care, right? Well, the resin bee that they were looking for is the Megachile Pluto, also known as Wallace's bee, also known Wallace's giant bee. Yes, Alfred
the big bee
Wallace.
of
Yeah.
It is the
fame.
world's largest bee.
Oh,
So when you said little bee, you were.
how big is a big bee?
That's why you sort of chuckled. Yeah, give us some sizes here.
It is.
What percentage of a Rachel?
Oh, okay. Well,
Don't do it that
A
way.
very small
No.
percentage of a Rachel, presumably. even if
it's
a
pretty
large bee.
small when it comes to percentage for Rachel size. At
I mean, we're not living in the Jurassic, Kirk.
Right.
So
right.
the Wallace giant bee is 4 times the size of a European honeybee.
Oh,
To give a little context, it's the female.
Okay.
Their body length is about the size of a human thumb, so about 2.5 inches in length.
oh, that's a big bee.
So it's a big.
It's a concerningly
well-
large bee.
Well, okay, I flipped it around. They're about a 1.5 in length, but their wingspan is 2.5 inches.
Oh,
Okay.
the wingspan.
That's
Okay.
pretty good wingspan, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
you said, like, when you're comparing it to the honeybee, I'm like, that doesn't sound that much bigger, but like a 2-inch wingspan is
yeah.
sizely.
Yes. And the other thing that is pretty distinguishable about, especially the female of this bee, because the males are absolutely tiny. They're less than an inch long. But the females
Okay.
have these large jaws that look very similar to put this in your brain, they look a lot like staghorn beetle jaws almost.
Yeah.
Oh my.
They have
Okay.
like really well developed like large jaws that go outside of their mouth.
Like a big mandible
Exactly.
kind of jaw.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
I don't particularly need to see that on a bee.
right? Well, the reason behind that is I mentioned earlier that it was a resin bee, and Victoria, you were wondering about it. So the resin bee,
Right.
this particular bee especially, those jaws are used to roll up and collect resin from trees to help build up a mound of protection and things around their nest.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, so it was originally collected by Alfred Russel Wallace in 1858.
Of
And-
evolutionary theory fame.
Yeah.
Exactly. He keeps popping up.
And of
And-
Wallace's line, which I discussed in an episode.
I was to say that's right in that part of the
Exactly.
world
It's
too.
right in that
Wallace's
kind of
line.
area,
Yep.
yeah. And it had been spotted and found, and people were checking, like learning here and there about it. But it was in Indonesia, and there wasn't a lot of interest in looking and finding for this giant resin bee, because bees aren't technically charismatic megafauna and don't really super
Right.
care too much when it comes to habitat loss and things.
I mean, something's only. You say no one had found it, but
Yeah.
if no one's looking,
Yeah,
Right.
you're not going to find what you're not looking for.
Exactly. So it hadn't been spotted for over 37 years, but there were like specimens found in Indonesia. And several were actually like sold on eBay because
Oh.
people
Oh my.
wanted, people wanted Alfred Wallace's
Yeah.
bee and collected in insect collections and things like that. The specimen that was found in 2019, it was living in that termite nest. It was filmed, it was photographed, and then it was released. But it was the first one that had been found in the wild in 38 years, which is phenomenal. And of course, they were all just so excited. Everyone was just having the best time, just hugging and high-fiving each other. It was a really nice rediscovery of this particular little bee. Now, because, well, little-ish, not really bee, largest bee.
Yeah.
Now, this bee has been put as vulnerable. It's not around a ton. We don't know enough about it, but it looks really.
As far as we know, there's only one.
So as far as we know, there's just one, right?
Right.
But also, it's not super interesting to a lot of people. So just be be careful. But also, like, we could have bees that are that large around us, which is super fun. But it's
At
always
least if
really
we live in
exciting.
Indonesia.
Right. But the biggest thing is, like, even though, like, Kirk, I think you talked about the ivory-billed woodpecker at one point or another. And,
I think it might
I
have
mean,
been
I've
me.
mentioned it.
or it might have been
Yeah.
Victoria. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're always looking for things that might have been lost. And as long as we're looking for them, I mean, maybe we'll find them or maybe we won't. This just happens to be a fun case where we did find it.
How about if we're preserving their
Yay.
habitat? That's
That
better.
would be even better. Truly, honestly, we should
That's what
be
it all comes
preserving
down to.
their habitat and making it sustainable for locals and things to want to preserve their habitat. But that's another fun rant for later. I promise no rants. So that's what I have for you both today.
Cool.
Wallace's
Thank you.
Cool,
giant
thank you.
bee.
Fun.
Yeah. My sources today, I got a lot of my information from Wikipedia and the Smithsonian Magazine. Oliver Millman, not Milkman.
Not Milkman.
Millman had a really
sure
great
Oliver
article.
appreciates that correction.
So we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, it'll be Victoria.
Hey, before we get back to the show, want to give a shout out to our newest patron, Mish. Thank you.
Fish.
Thanks
Yay!
for becoming a patron. She's now part of the Platypus Squad, which is our highest level of listeners, so we appreciate that. Patrons make the show go. You are the fuel that keeps this steamship a-rockin'. I'm trying to mix all the metaphors here. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are we? I don't know. Are we a rocket ship, a steamship, a
Submarine.
Are we just
Steampunk?
riding in a lazy river?
I think
I'm
we
not
could
sure.
be steampunk
But you know
if
what?
we wanted.
No matter what it is, the patrons, you guys keep it going, and we really appreciate you because we literally could not, keep the lights on and pay for all of our servers and all that kind of things without you all. So thank you.
Thank
And
Thank you.
If you want to become part of the Society of Strange and join these fine people, really the finest people on earth, you can head over to patreon.com/strangebynature and learn about some of the benefits and just become part of the coolest club in the world. So maybe we'll see you there, and we'll get back to the show.
So my topic this week was a bit inspired by a topic Kirk did a couple months ago. And there was also another thing that kind of started my brain on this one, but I'm going to save it for another episode. So I'm going to start off by talking about Gore Ottison. I think that's how it's pronounced. Gore was a 21-month-old toddler who was one of those kids who just gets everywhere into everything. As soon as they can walk.
I know the type.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sounds like my cat.
Exactly. Just what I was thinking. At any rate, Gore was visiting a family cabin in Colorado with his parents and his siblings and various other family members one chilly September night. And his mom was getting him and his siblings ready for bed. And she'd helped Gore into his pajama shirt, and she turned away, helped one of the other kids. And when she turned back, he was gone. And yeah. Earlier in the day, he had figured out how to unhook the latch on the screen door of the cabin and let himself out.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, sadly, 25 awful minutes later, a cousin found him in a drainage ditch full of icy water. And yeah, he was unconscious, cold. He had no pulse, was not breathing.
Oh, God.
To all appearances, dead. But
terrifying.
Yeah, awful.
Worst nightmare.
An ambulance was able to arrive pretty quickly once they found him, and the paramedic that arrived started doing chest compressions on him immediately, started CPR, and they kept the chest compressions going once he arrived at the hospital, even though it seemed pretty hopeless at the time. And amazingly, after 55 minutes of CPR, his heartbeat came back.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, man.
They got him onto, I assume, a ventilator. And
Good.
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
No one
It's
wants to
amazing.
To
give
sit
up
there
on
being
a
the
kid.
parents through all that, just
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
I would be bawling my eyes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just frozen. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I can't even imagine. And the doctors.
Maybe not the best choice of words,
Well, yeah.
Hmm.
I retract that.
Oh.
but yeah. Yikes. Okay. Moving on.
Right.
Mhm.
The doctors actually kept him in a hypothermic coma for 2 days. So they kept his body temperature really low and then
Interesting.
gradually started warming him back up. And incredibly, he
Ooh.
woke up
Yeah.
with no apparent brain damage and made a full recovery.
Thank
And
God.
his mom later wrote a book about the experience, which is how we have the story, which is really an amazingly miraculous story, and obviously has some similarity to the story Kirk told about Jean Hilliard,
Yeah.
who was the Minnesota woman who
Exactly,
got
yeah.
stuck in the snow and basically froze stiff as a board, apparently, before recovering.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference here,
Wild.
though, and that is not just the temperature, which was a lot lower for Jean, but the fact that this was a drowning. And
Right.
it is actually not totally uncommon for children who drown in cold water to survive and even to be and apparently unharmed, as Gore was. And one of the things that we think we have to thank here is called the mammalian diving reflex.
Oh, I
really?
have to take this off my list. Oh my goodness. Oh, good gracious.
So
Keep going,
That was quite a
Victoria.
build-up, yeah.
yeah, this reflex has been observed in any mammal it has been tested on. And in fact, it's a bit misnamed because it has been found in any air-breathing vertebrate that it has been tested on. So this is
Oh, really?
yeah, this is a very
Okay.
deep reflex, evolutionarily speaking.
Mhm.
And its basic function is to preserve any oxygen that is already in the bloodstream and allow the heart and brain to survive drowning or being in the water. Or not drowning, but being in the water, basically. And it has been most
Right.
studied in aquatic mammals, which is why it's called the mammalian diving reflex.
Mhm.
So basically, this is a reflex that occurs when the face and nostrils, and specifically, if you want to get anatomy geeky about it, it's the area innervated by the trigeminal nerve in the face. So when these areas are submerged in water, particularly cold water, and obviously your breath is going to stop. If you're an adult, you're going to hold your breath once your face gets near the water. But this also triggers the body to make two other major changes, which are what the reflex does. So one, the heart slows way down. And two, the body experiences peripheral vasoconstriction, which means that the blood vessels that are outside the core of the body constrict and significantly reduce blood flow to all the blood vessels to your skin, to your extremities, even to some of your major organs, just focusing the blood flow on the heart and the brain to
The things that'll really keep you alive.
yeah, exactly. And this has the effect of maintaining blood pressure, which would otherwise drop significantly when the heart slows. And it shuts down all unnecessary body systems at the same time. So digestion, for example. And yeah, it's just it's a survival mechanism. And scientists believe that it is the most powerful autonomic reflex in the body. So autonomic reflexes are sometimes called spinal reflexes, which is actually a literally accurate name.
Oh,
So
wow.
so like when you touch a hot pot on the stove and you immediately jerk your hand away, the reason your body can do that so fast is that signal that you feel, that your nerves feel from the hot pot,
Right.
goes to the spinal cord and directly back to your muscle without going to the brain. So it's faster.
wow.
Yeah, the brain's not involved
The
in that
brain's
at all.
not involved.
Yeah.
And so that is similar to what's happening with the diving reflex. This comes from the spinal cord and the kind of the brain stem. So the lowest, most basic parts of the brain are what make it happen.
Cool.
Now, Aquatic mammals have additional adaptations that help them operate efficiently when they're under the effect of this reflex. And so, for example, they have a higher volume of blood for their size than other mammals, and they have adaptations in their cardiovascular system that actually provide storage places for the blood when their peripheral blood vessels are constricted during a dive.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty
Fun.
neat.
I suppose it's got to fit somewhere, right?
Exactly.
I didn't even think of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it either. And they also have more hemoglobin than other mammals, so their blood can carry more oxygen to give them reserves when they're diving. Now, this
Makes
reflex
sense.
exists to some extent in adult humans, but it is actually
Yeah, it certainly does.
quite strong in human infants, especially up to about the age of 6 months.
Okay.
Presumably as a protection against drowning. So even if an infant's face is only sort of gently wetted or laid in the water, the heart rate will slow down. All the parts of the reflex will kick in. In
Mhm.
adults, the submersion of the face has to be combined with them voluntarily holding their breath for the reflex to work, whereas
Okay.
it's pretty automatic in infants. And so this really helps to explain why it's one of the reasons why it's more common for children to survive near drowning incidents the way that Gore did, especially young children.
Okay.
But, the paramedics and the doctors really helped Gore's survival also, first of all, by
Mhm.
doing CPR. But
That's a big one,
secondly,
yeah.
really importantly, by keeping him cold and giving his
Mm.
brain time to receive oxygen as his body recovered before they warmed the rest of his body back up. Because most of the oxygen in the blood had been used up, right, already, because he wasn't breathing. And
Right.
so
Mhm.
when that happens, the cells in the body begin using anaerobic metabolism. And the output of that is lactic acid in the cells.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's no blood flow to carry it. So it's not going anywhere. It doesn't become a problem really until the body starts to warm up and the general circulation is restored. At which point
Mhm.
the acidity in the blood can become toxic to the heart and the body's core if the body's warmed too quickly
Oh man.
before the brain has
That's
had
not great.
time to get some oxygen to it and
Right.
kind of get back up to speed. So by keeping Gore's body cold while his breath provided oxygen for his brain, they were able to give him time to kind of adjust and for the lactic acid to slowly be cleared before they warmed him back up.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
yeah,
Insane.
it seems the cold water also helps survival in these types of cases because it may more strongly trigger the diving reflex, but also it just rapidly cools the body, and that can help with kind of the preservation of the brain and the other tissues when they're not getting oxygen.
It slows down
Exactly.
the need for oxygen and all this stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a really fascinating thing. I think it's especially fascinating that it seems to be there in basically all vertebrates.
Oh yeah, that's
Mhm.
insane.
Yeah, you really it makes you think about,
What pressures led to that
yeah,
being there?
yeah. So just a
Insane.
fascinating little thing that bodies do.
Oh,
Cool.
thanks, Victoria.
You're
I
welcome.
did have to
Thank
take it
you.
off my list. It was
Sorry.
oh,
My sources this week I had several sources, but got a lot of my information from Stat Pearls, which is from the National Library of Medicine, and then also a few websites that had some information about Gore's story.
great.
Yeah,
Awesome. Thanks, Victoria.
welcome.
Thank you.
And I was last today, right? We all talked.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we did.
We all talked. Yeah.
We did it.
This was amazing. Happy summer, everybody.
Happy summer.
Yay.
We'll be with you all summer long with more strange nature, so stay tuned.
Mhm.
Bye.
All right, bye, everyone.
Thanks everyone for listening to today's show. Be sure to subscribe. New episodes drop every Wednesday, and we love sharing this strange world with all of our listeners. If you would be so kind as to leave us a 5-star review, that would be great. it lets other lovers of the strange discover the show. You can reach out to us on social media by searching for Strange by Nature Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can send us an email as well. Our address is contact@strangebynaturepodcast.com. If you want more information about the show, you can also check out our website, which is strangebynaturepodcast.com. Until next week, get outside, stay curious, and embrace the strange.